In the dead of night, as the city hummed quietly under the moon's gentle glow, our forbidden passion ignited in a flash, a moment of pure, dangerous allure that would change my life forever. I'm Carmen, a 26-year-old marketing associate with dreams bigger than the skyline of New York. I always believed that ambition and love could coexist, but nothing prepared me for the storm that came when I met Mark. Mark, my charismatic and enigmatic boss, carried a magnetism that defied all logic. Despite his steady, married life, there was an undeniable pull between us that broke every rule in the book. That night, in the hushed corridors of our advertising agency, his eyes met mine with a promise of secrets and risks too tempting to resist. I remember the way my heart raced as I stole glances at him during long meetings and how his subtle smiles hinted at more than just professional interest. Emily, my trusted colleague and friend, noticed the spark too. She warned me in hushed tones about the dangers of such a relationship, reminding me of the fragile balance between ambition and morality. Even William, another close friend from the agency, seemed to carry a quiet concern when our eyes locked across crowded rooms. The thrill of our first secret encounter was overwhelming, a mix of desire, fear, and a reckless hope for something more. In that moment, as Mark reached for my hand in a stolen embrace behind closed doors, I knew my world was about to shatter into beautiful, chaotic pieces. In the days that followed our first dangerous encounter, the thrill of temptation grew stronger and more consuming. Each morning at the office, I carried an undercurrent of excitement, mixed with guilt. I would catch Mark's eye from across the busy conference room, our secret unspoken but louder than any words. It was as if every smile and glance was a silent invitation into a world where rules did not apply. I found myself inventing reasons to be near him, lingering at the water cooler or volunteering for late meetings just to catch a glimpse of his easy charm. Mark's office became both a sanctuary and a prison. Within its walls, the boundaries between professional duty and personal desire blurred beyond recognition. I recall one rainy evening when, after an exhausting day of pitches and deadlines, Mark beckoned me into a quiet corner of our building. The rain's rhythmic patter against the windows seemed to echo the beat of my heart as we shared whispered words that promised more than just fleeting affection. But with every stolen moment, the stakes grew higher. I began to notice furtive glances from Emily, who seemed torn between concern and silent support, and William's worried expressions whenever our secret seemed too close to being discovered. The pressure was relentless, as if every step I took was on a tightrope suspended over a chasm of consequences. In the confines of our high-pressure New York advertising agency, the allure of forbidden love tightened its grip on me. With each covert meeting and secret exchange, I felt both empowered and trapped, knowing that the passion we shared was as volatile as it was intoxicating. The office corridors whispered with rumors, and I couldn't help but wonder, was the thrill worth the price of our hearts? As the days turned into weeks, the weight of our secret began to tangle my life in a complex web of deceit. Every smile and whispered word with Mark was shadowed by a growing sense of guilt. I felt the sting of betrayal not only towards his unsuspecting wife, but also towards the honest parts of myself. My once clear vision of ambition and success was now obscured by layers of lies, and the thrill of the affair started to reveal its darker side. Late one evening, after a heated pitch meeting that left me shaken, I returned to my small apartment feeling both exhilarated and crushed. The adrenaline from our latest clandestine meeting with Mark was quickly replaced by a gnawing fear that everything could unravel at any moment. Every knock on my door, every unexpected call, reminded me of the fragile line I was walking. In my solitude, I started questioning every decision, wondering if the intensity of our connection was worth the inevitable fallout. If you're watching this story unfold and feeling every bit of the suspense, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel for more behind-the-scenes insights and future chapters. Your support means the world to us and keeps the conversation going. Returning to my reality, the whispers around the office grew louder. Emily's concerned glances and William's disapproving looks were constant reminders that secrets have a way of seeping out. The tension at work became palpable, and every interaction felt charged with the risk of exposure. I was caught in a spiraling conflict, torn between the passion that Mark ignited in me and the consequences that lurked around every corner. The strain of our secret finally reached its climax one fateful afternoon. Tension had been building for weeks, and it all came crashing down during a crucial campaign meeting at the agency. I sat in the boardroom, trying to maintain a facade of calm, but my heart pounded with the fear of discovery. Across the table, Mark's eyes betrayed a flicker of uncertainty, a silent warning that everything was about to change. It began with a heated discussion about a new pitch. Emily, who had long suspected something was off, let slip a comment that cut through the pretense of professionalism. Her voice trembled with a mix of anger and sadness, and I could see the realization in the eyes of our colleagues. The room, once filled with the hum of strategic planning, now resonated with murmurs of disbelief. The foundation of our carefully built lies was crumbling before our eyes. Later that day, after the meeting, I found Mark waiting in his office. His usual confident smile was gone, replaced by a look of deep regret. The weight of our affair and its consequences pressed down on him, and I knew that the breaking point had been reached. We argued, loudly and desperately, about choices made, about promises broken, and about a future that now seemed uncertain. I felt torn between the thrill of our connection and the crushing burden of guilt. In that raw moment, I realized that we were no longer living in a fantasy. Our passionate liaison had become a battlefield of conflicting emotions. As I stepped out of his office, the echo of our argument lingered, and I was left questioning if any love born of deceit could ever find redemption. The fallout of our affair had left both Mark and me reeling, standing on the edge of a precipice where every decision felt like it could be our last. In the weeks following our explosive confrontation, the agency was a shadow of its former self, whispers in hallways, furtive glances, and an undercurrent of sorrow that seemed to infect every corner. I found myself alone with my thoughts in the quiet of early mornings, where regret and longing danced together in a confusing duet. Mark tried to salvage what remained of his crumbling personal life, but his attempts were met with cold silence from the wife he once promised to cherish. I, too, struggled with the burden of my choices. The exhilarating passion that had once seemed like a fairy tale had now revealed its harsh truth. I had sacrificed more than I could ever repay: trust, friendship, and the illusion of a clear path to success. The guilt was a constant companion, yet in it, I also discovered a strange sense of liberation. For the first time, I was forced to confront the person I had become, and in that confrontation, I began to see the possibility of redemption. Standing at this crossroads, I realized that every tear, every mistake, had taught me something irreplaceable about love, ambition, and self-worth. Now, as I face the uncertain future, I must decide whether to embrace the chance for change or remain trapped in the ruin of my past decisions. If you've followed this journey with all its twists and turns, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support inspires us to keep sharing these raw and honest stories.